Super. Good. Get my notes together.
I guess Travis technically said he might be.
Before we start, I just want to remind folks. Let's look at our agenda for June 1st. Call us together. So welcome to the June 1st, 2023 electronic meeting of the Greenbelt Advisory Commission. This meeting is being held electronically. We intend to conduct this meeting, similarly to an in-person meeting. However, please be patient if there are technical issues. Public comment will be by telephone only. Please know that if you're watching this meeting live online, there is a 30-second delay. To speak during either of the public comment opportunities, please call 1-877-853-5247 and enter meeting ID number 941-0420-8673. Again, the number to call is 1-877-853-5247 and enter meeting ID 941-0420-8673. This information is also available on the published agenda, in the public notices section of the city website, and on the broadcast of this meeting on CTN Channel 16, AT&T Channel 99, and online at a2gov.org/watchctn. Please note, if you do call in for public comment, you must enter *6 to unmute yourself. All right. So the next item on our agenda is roll call. So Chairperson Riggs here and attending from my home in Ann Arbor. Commissioner Bloomer.
Here, attending from Traverse City.
Commissioner Boggs.
Here and attending from Ann Arbor.
Commissioner Schuler. Councilperson Radina. Commissioner Armstrong. We see you.
She's muted.
Okay. Here in Ann Arbor.
Great. Commissioner Gordon.
Here in Ann Arbor.
Great. And Commissioner Laramie.
Here in Ann Arbor.
Terrific. We have a quorum. And next up on our agenda is approval of the agenda for today. Does someone want to make the motion to approve the agenda?
Sure, so moved. I'll back D. Yep.
Okay, was that Commissioner Boggs and then second by Commissioner Armstrong?
Yeah.
See that right? Okay, great. So all in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Okay, the agenda is approved. And next is approval of minutes from April 6th, 2023. Those were sent out as part of the meeting packet. Pretty straightforward. Thanks for the preparation of those. Why don't we take just a minute so people can refresh their memory of what we did on April 6th.
I'll make a motion to accept those as written.
Thank you. And is there a support?
I'll support.
Okay, I'm getting Commissioner Laramie on that one. Okay, great. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Okay, that passes. Minutes are approved. And next up is public commentary. And do we have anybody waiting to address the commission?
No.
Thank you. We'll check back again later. Item 6 on our agenda is new business, and we have staff reports. So I think, Rosie, are you up?
Yep. Here we go. Okay. So, starting with a couple of things that happened in the last 2 months. The Greenbelt and NAP, so Remy, representing both, was invited to speak to the Environmental Commission of Ann Arbor. They have lots of questions, they're very interested in conservation operations. So good job, Remy, representing us there. And then I can't remember if we already talked about this or if we sent out an email, but the Michigan Department of Agriculture and Rural Development appointed Remy to their Agriculture Preservation Fund Board in the last some time period. So that's excellent. Speaks wonders to Remy's good work, and also gives us, someone up at the state doing something in our field of work here. So congrats, Remy. Hopefully there's not a lot of conflict of interest. Mostly this board runs the conservation easement funding program that the Greenbelt is currently not eligible for. So hopefully that'll be fine. So yay!
Congratulations, Remy.
Nice, way to go.
So that's my staff report. Any questions on that, or I'll move on to budget. Excellent.
Great, let's do budget.
All right, so very small changes from the last one. As you know, we haven't been having a lot of projects running through. I've moved the Divine property to the open session budget. It's actually going to council next Monday, but it is publicly on the agenda, so I'm including it in this open session budget. So that's now here. We got an updated GAC fund balance from the end of March that is reflected now too. What we had before was pretty accurate to this, so not any significant changes there either. So yeah, we've got 3 that are formally undergoing work, and then a few, sitting in closed session, and are still sitting at, like 1.4 million uncommitted. And hopefully these all close this literal year. Q2 2024 is the end of 2023 in the fiscal year. So shooting high there. All right. Any questions on budget?
I don't see any questions. Okay. Great. Thank you, Rosie. We have confidence in you to see these through by the end of the year.
Luckily, we're only actually leading one. Divine is the city project. The other 2 are led by Webster Township.
Right.
So we have confidence in us to get their documents approved on time.
Okay, just going twice. Any questions about the budget? Don't see any. All right, great. And then the next step on Buy, Protect, Sell. we've got some final criteria and RFP documents to hear about and discuss.
Yes. All right. Back to Buy, Protect, Sell, the ongoing saga. So just to remind us of the purpose of our Buy, Protect, Sell program is to fulfill the Greenbelt's conservation objectives while providing the secondary benefit of providing an access pathway to affordable farmland ownership for small farmers and particularly farmers that are land insecure. So just coalescing us around that goal to keep it in mind as we go forward. A review of the timeline. We are at the beginning of June here on Develop Full Maisel RFP on the bottom timeline, and GAC reviews and approves RFP. So the RFP at this point is perhaps a little drafty still. I wouldn't say what you would approve today is like, yes, great, you've got the basic documents, we're confident, the things are going to go in there, but I'll probably send you another rendition, like the full packet later in the month, just for any sort of final comment and individual, like, yes, looks good. But we are almost there. The buy timeline has gone by the wayside for now, to be totally honest. So we're full steam ahead on the sell timeline. So hoping to post this RFP still at the end of the month. Okay, so kind of a review of what we talked about last time, which was the eligibility and scoring criteria. These are done now. So eligibility criteria, since you last saw them, have not changed. So I received all pretty consistent feedback from you all on that, which was more or less looks good. The scoring criteria. So I said that I would noodle some things around a little bit. I did that. I think it's better. It all has about, like the same idea from what you last saw. Just the way points are added up are a little different, and I'm confident with them. And it reflects everything that you had seen before. So, but since we did last talk, we have had more conversations with other people, some sort of late feedback from people that didn't get to provide feedback before. And that has informed another little category that I think we're going to add into here. And it's not just from that feedback, it's also sort of something that we keep returning to, and you all have mentioned, and Remy and I have gone over multiple times, is like just kind of the room for more flexibility of sort of like how all of the pieces, all of their experience, all of their plan, like everything fits together. And any room for just like any more thoughts of like, is this gonna work? Like if like maybe they met all of the requirements and they have a bunch of experience and they've proposed all of these like wonderful things, but if it's just like not gonna work, or for whatever reason we've evaluated that, or we can say the likelihood of the success of this business proposal is very low. So in this category, we're going to say 0 points. So we're calling this, Remy wrote this very well worded, comprehensive success estimation, just kind of summing it all together. And we will just pull these points equally away from the other categories. So that's brand new. I don't think it's anything really different from what we've been talking about, because we keep returning to this idea of flexibility. It's a push and pull between like, we want, sort of like a rigid, or maybe not a rigid, but like a standard, accountable, predictable scoring system, balanced with like, but also we want to pick the right thing, and maybe the scoring won't pick that. There's always some doubt there. So this kind of helps mediate between those two things.
Yeah, I think we have these really strong criteria to lean on, and I think they are the right criteria with farm plan and experience, and so on. They are the things we need to look at, the things we need to measure, but how they come together and feed into each other and create the overall strength of the proposal was something that our scoring system was lacking. And so I think that's really when we read a narrative, we'll be able to pull out some of the items that are necessary to attribute points or weights to certain specific criteria. But there's also just this sort of intangible, mostly just readable or experienced nature of the compelling nature of the proposal as well, independent of all those individual factors and how they all come together. That I think this is a really important space that you will be able to assign points for that feature that's harder to measure.
Agreed. So I will accept approval of this little thing just because it's so different. How does this seem to you all?
I think it's a good addition.
It makes a lot of sense to me too.
I saw a thumbs up from Boggs,
And Kate.
Laramie.
And just a reminder that we're operating within a 100-point scale. So this accounts for 10%. So it's by no means the lion's share
Okay.
of the available points, but it does contribute a meaningful amount of what isn't captured in each of the individual other criteria categories.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this makes sense. Appreciate the wording and the explanation.
Excellent. With that, criteria are done. Yay. All right. So the next big piece, the RFP itself. So there are going to be 4 documents approximately that go into the RFP that we released. So I sent you ahead of time. These are not very interesting names. I apologize, but I sent you ahead of time the farm plan template and the info collection sheet. The configuration agreement is new. I will explain that in a little bit. So I'm going to go over these 4 documents, what the purposes of them are, what information they will contain, and anything else I can think of, and answer any questions you have. Okay, so there's the main RFP doc, very creative. So this was one of the documents in the original, documents that Remy came up with while developing this. Very few changes have been made to this. So this will have all of the information in it that we are delivering to the applicants, essentially. So this will have all of the property information about the Maisel property, about both halves. It'll have the sale information, so the price, and that we are only selling it at that price, and sort of talk about, like how the sale will go. A good point of detail that will be in here, that we have pulled from other similar buy, protect, sell processes that have existed, is we will provide the option and explain that there's an option for a lease in the meantime, while we are working out the sale. So if the sale is taking a bit long, or they just want to get on the ground, we can enter into a lease while they're still working on buying it, assuming we have a sales contract and they have provided proof of available funding, and we've gotten far enough along there. So we can make sure that they can prepare the land for the season in the spring. So that will be in there. And just talking about leases in general, I can't remember. I don't think we got to talk about, maybe we did. The current, a lease for right now for the property was approved by City Council at the end of April or the 1st of May, whatever. So that will be leased out to the person who had already been farming it when it was owned by the prior person, by the prior landowner, and that lease will continue through December. And they will be planting it. They will be harvesting hay on the south field where hay already is and planting the north field with a cover crop. So that's awesome. So a lease is underway currently. When that ends, we would be able to enter a lease with the prospective buyer of the property. Okay. This document will also contain instructions for applying, where do they send their application, everything that's required to be sent. The eligibility criteria that we went through, the scoring requirements, possibly abridged, maybe not with all of the tables, but more like maybe the summary of stuff. Important dates and timeline. When is it due? When is the proposal due? I will explain later in a procedural thing. We will have 2 different due dates so that there's an administrative review period. Explain that more. Other important dates are open houses. I hope to haven't discussed this with you, Remy, but I hope to have 3. That's what's going in the lease, is that we're allowed to have 3 at varying times and days to hopefully collect as many different kinds of people as we can. Contact info for us. We will allow people to ask, if they need to, ask staff questions about eligibility, like confirming certain things there. Some small clarifying questions about the RFP, anything we've written down there. A employee from MSU Extension who works on farm plans has agreed to be a contact for this as well, to help inform, more of a list of resources type of contact info, but someone who can help applicants write their farm plan or review their farm plan. That is what her division is there for. So that was exciting to make that connection. And then also in here, that was in here abridged before, a list of resources. Other people already have those. My farm link has already put together a list of resources. Like, this will be very easy to put together, but just like anything anyone could need. Example farm plans. Gosh, I don't know, lots of MSU Extension things. People have sent me many different things that we can put in here, and they will just all go in there. And this is several pages long, this thing. So this is like the main, here is the information on the property. It will also contain, like where the building envelopes are, maps, where the pipelines are on the property, certain things like that. I'm going to go through all 4 and then I'll take questions, I think. That's okay. Document number 2 was the farm plan template. So we are requesting from applicants that they submit a farm plan to make that as accessible as possible, and also somewhat standardized, but mostly like someone's applying and they don't know where to start, or they don't know what we want. Here's kind of an idea of what we want. The format of this document that I sent out was not finished. This image here is an example just from elsewhere, the cover page from some other example farm plan. But these categories, business vision, production plan, etc., as I said in the email, were collected from the winning farm plan that was submitted for SIO's Bioprotect Cell project on the Wren's property. I basically also pulled this directly from another extension, Cornell University's extension, looked at Oregon's extension, Michigan's extension, what was common across example farm plans, and these were the things I pulled out. This area is definitely not my and Remy's expertise. So, any more on this is great, especially like, I don't know, maybe this like sub questions in here, like in the document that I sent you, there are more specific questions under here to help them answer things. These are the broad things. Sheila's feedback on this that she submitted was under production plan. We also include like some check boxes from some standardization for like conservation practices that they intend to implement, just to be able to read those across applications, across proposals, and let them know that we're looking for those things. So that was one thing. And how the sections are fitting together, to answer your question, Elizabeth, I don't have an answer for that. This is just like how it seems to be in the farm plans that I've read. They're separated in this way. I think there's often, Roseanne can probably talk to this better. Like in some I've seen more like narratives where they talk about that. We can put that in here. Like, just give us a story about how all of this fits together or something. But otherwise, I don't really know the answer to that. But in terms of what's required of the applicant, the idea was like all of those mini questions under these, again, in the documents that I emailed to you all, should be answered. So that's what was trying to say was required of the applicant. If they want to, and this information will be on the cover, our own cover page to this farm plan template. They can use this outline exactly, or if they already have one made that they've submitted to other people, the hope is that it probably already has these things. Because this is like, from my understanding, some of the bare bones stuff of a farm plan. So they could just submit that and just maybe kind of check to make sure they hit all of our questions. So if they already have one, I don't want them to rewrite it. And we will make that clear in the cover page. I would very much welcome, and this can be an email too, but I would very much welcome comments on this, or additional questions or additions, anything else that we might want to see. I struggle most with the financial analysis part. I think we'll be asking for people to submit, if they already have finances from a current farm that they work on or that they manage, or any list of assets that they just already have. I think we'd like them to submit that. So that would be, sort of some supplemental financial analysis of their existing operation. But in terms of financial analysis of the farm that they're buying from us, I was asking for sort of just a very minimal income statement of basic expected costs, annual cost, and basic expected revenue.
Rosie, I know you said you wanted to go through all the documents and then take questions.
That's true. I did say that. But now I'm asking for questions.
Okay. I think maybe we're just trying to respect that.
That's a good point. I will stick to my original plan.
Okay.
Yes, I will do that.
Okay.
I forgot already. Okay, document number 3. This sort of info collection, almost like an application, is what it looks like. I pulled some of this from something similar that USDA has, but added our stuff. So this will help collect standard information, like think our Greenbelt application form, typical required information in a standardized name, their name, address, contact info, etc. Most to me, kind of most importantly, this will help them confirm their own eligibility. I said we list the eligibility in the RFP, and we do, but this, you know, either maybe it might be hard to understand, or maybe they just might gloss over it. This is a checklist, you know, kind of just going right down it way of saying, yes, I fit into this category, and I confirm that. And it'll also tell us, you know, what we need to confirm if they are chosen, because we'll want to confirm via tax statements, confirm their eligibility statements based on income statements or whatever. Sorry, tax returns. Anything else we need to confirm these things. So they are confirming their own eligibility, and there'll just be like signature pages for formality, like, yes, this is all accurate. Again, a very similar thing on our Greenbelt application form. The second page to this is about collecting info on experience in a standardized way to kind of help us count the years and count the extent and the type of their experience, because that's a scored criteria in a very specific one in the scoring. So this application is trying to help with some of those scoring criteria as well, to help those consistently, to score those consistently. Document 4 is new. So when we went to that summit, the ASAP Ale Summit in Maryland in March, we met a lot of other awesome programs and people who were doing stuff, you know, doing slightly different stuff from us. And one thing that sort of stuck out to Remy was this document that Connecticut had called a configuration agreement. So when we do conservation easements, you know, one of the things that we make sure to do is kind of walk through an actual conservation easement deed and make sure they're understanding like what they're going to agree to at the end of this, and what they're going to sign. What are the restrictions? What is allowed? A configuration document is a short document that concisely conveys all of those things without them having to read a 15-page long easement deed with all of the legalese. This will say it in 1 or 2 pages, and they will have to sign at the end. So we will still include an easement template in this whole packet, but expecting them to be able to read this 1 or 2 pages and be like, yes, okay, I understand, you know, essentially what I'm agreeing to. And that will also help making that as clear as possible, those restrictions, will help them make a farm plan that will not violate the easement. And so we don't have to fix that later. Yeah, that's document number 4. So we haven't written that yet. This is Connecticut's example here, but we will produce that in conjunction with our attorney before the month is up. And those will all 4 of those and the easement template will all go into a single packet that will be the RFP. So this configuration agreement and this info collection sheet and a farm plan is all that applicants need to return to us. That's what they need to submit. Something else that needs to go on this info collection sheet that is not on here is which one they are applying for. That will also be on here. So if they want the southern half of the property or the northern half of the property, or both, they can check both. Okay, now we can talk about this. Or other?
Or either.
Or either, yes.
Great. Okay. Thanks, Rosie. Exciting to see these pieces coming together and see it take shape. Maybe I'll just kick off with some comments or questions.
Great.
Not unlike what, I shared with you earlier. So, and again, you may have mentioned this previously, you or Remy, but is this going to be primarily a web-based online application, or is it, I'm not sure what the standard practice is at the city, or is it going to be a PDF that people need to download? I just thought it'd be helpful for us to understand what the end product is going to look like, because it ties into like, are there going to be character or space limitations, and just kind of those types of questions around the actual delivery of the RFP.
Yes, I am envisioning no character. Well, I guess I'm envisioning no character limitations, essentially. But it will be in PDF format. If the space provided is not sufficient, they can attach another sheet. So yes, I am envisioning online based via PDF, because it will be primarily hosted, which I'll talk about in the next slide when we're done with these documents, but it'll be primarily hosted online via probably my farm link. So given that it will already be advertised primarily on the web, it will all have to be downloaded onto a computer in that way. As a PDF, it could be printed, but they'd have to have, that access online. I'm sure we could, put a whole packet in City Hall. Hadn't really thought about that. But it will all be promoted online.
And bring packets to the open houses as well.
Yes.
Okay. Then my other question for now is, you had mentioned the resource at Michigan State University, which sounds great. Someone who's willing to help, if I understood, help applicants with developing their farm plans.
Yes.
And I just wanted to touch on that and say, like, is that what they were offering to do? And if so, are they also available to help applicants with other parts of the process too, or is it really focused on that piece of this 4-part application?
That is focused on this piece, because MSU is not necessarily that they're not interested in helping us, but their role is to help farmers make farm plans and have a successful business. So that's what that's going for. But helping with everything else, to some extent, can be us. So in the way that we'd probably have to provide I'm just kind of thinking like at the top of my head here, so just spitballing, but for ADA requirements, we'd probably have to provide an option for helping people fill it out, which we do with our Greenbelt application now as well. I mean, we've always done that. Like if someone wants to call us and be like, help me fill this out, we will do that. So there might be a way we could, help with some of that here with like the application page and in particular, if they need help filling this out.
Yeah. If
Any
it's a question
questions?
if it's a question from an applicant about what constitutes a complete application, we will help get them to the completed application stage. What they populate within that space, especially within the farm plan or their narrative, they need to lean heavily on external resources for that. But checking boxes and ensuring that they are checking the appropriate boxes, and then making sure that they are furnishing the right kinds of evidence of this or that. That is what Rosie and I are here to support, to make sure that every applicant is afforded the same level of guidance and clarity if they do have questions. So phone, email, in-person meetings if necessary. We will make that work depending on the inquiries we get. But but yeah, the actual content of the farm plan, strategy, business planning, budgeting, et cetera, will be lean heavily on the MSU resource.
Great. Okay, thank you. I assume others have questions, maybe even about the substance, the content of what's in these.
I have a question about the section in the farm plan, production plan, or intended use of the property. And this might have been the section that you said, Rosie, that Sheila had some comments via email about, but I'm just wondering if you considered adding any language that indicates that we're interested in kind of soil conservation, riparian corridor protection, that kind of thing. I note that you have, for what improvements do you intend to make to the property, there's barn construction, ecological restoration, etc. But wondering if it might be valuable to have another question that says something like, you know, are there any conservation practices that you intend to use, you know, to facilitate soil health, or, you know, et cetera, or whether that's maybe too leading. But
I think that's a perfectly reasonable question to put in there. In terms of guiding people towards what we want, that would be hinted at in the scoring criteria that is included in the RFP. But that question, as you phrased it, do you describe conservation measures you intend to implement? I feel is perfectly reasonable. And I will add it.
Do others have questions, comments?
I had one more also about the farm plan. And this just might be lack of my own background knowledge, but below marketing and sales, you have the SWOT analysis. I'm just, my initial reaction to that table was, I don't know if that's like a common thing that folks would, you know how to respond to, or if it's specifically, you know, regarding marketing and sales, or the plan as a whole, I guess is what I was curious about. But maybe that's common in this space and applicants will not be confused.
I saw it in several farm plans. I'm not saying it's, I think it was also specifically mentioned on the Cornell extension. So I haven't seen it in all of them, but I've seen it in enough. And what I liked about it was that it does provide a little bit of that narrative element, or at least makes them consider for a moment. It makes them consider for a moment where it might fail, which we don't really ask for in the rest of it. So to have them consider what are threats, I would hope allow them to better address those things in the rest of their farm plan and provide a more well-rounded thing for us to look at. And it is about the whole plan, not just marketing and sales. See if I think I kept, did I keep an example up?
I'm glad Kate brought that up, because I think that was part of my confusion too, like when it came to that part of the farm plan. And maybe you're already planning, Rosie, just to put a little descriptor about what the SWOT analysis is for, just to give it some context.
I will do that.
Yeah, I think that I also like that it has the weaknesses and threats in there, to the point that you make. But yeah, maybe just a narrative as kind of a summary space, so that people really can build that narrative, or feel you know, allowed to build that narrative, which is what we want.
Sure. I'll add just like a summary section. Tell us the story of your proposal in, that one might be character limited, in a paragraph or two.
Another item to mention, we've talked about how buy, protect, sell. This transaction being our first, our proof of concept, our pilot. We're going to work through these things, but in the next iteration of this, we will have one or two examples of successful farm plans that were, the selected buyer's plans. And as public documents through this public process, we'll be able to, attach those as a complete RFP as an exhibit to future RFPs that gives a little bit more detailed guidance. But given that this is a space where Rosie and I's expertise is lacking, and the timeline to trying to get this out the door so that we can get a new owner on the ground, hopefully by the coming spring, a year from now, we'll put this out there with some guidance. We'll see what comes our way. We are confident it will be enough for us to make a solid evaluation of the proposals in their totality, but future iterations will be strengthened each time we do this by having better and better examples to share with future applicants.
Good point. Just checking in again if anyone has comments or questions. See that. Okay. So this is terrific. Thank you, Rosie. So did I understand that you were saying that you're looking for the commission's kind of general thumbs up approval that this feels like taken together, these draft documents are the rough framework, or that these are headed in the right direction? I don't have the most concise language right now, but is that were you looking for that so that you can have that approval to keep moving forward and finalizing these?
Yeah, I'd say so. Got it on the timeline, your approval. So yeah, sorry. So like I said, they were drafty. They're mostly drafty in formatting, and that we need to write the configuration agreement. And I will keep taking your feedback, and I will take this feedback. And, if you want to probably keep making, little changes down to the wire, just as more people add their thoughts. So, I will take your email, call, feedback anytime in the next month. But yes, I hope that these are covering the basics and that you like where they're going. And I would indeed like some thumbs up general approval of that. Is that a question, D, or is that a yes?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wondered while I was sitting here, you said Scioto Township already went through this whole process and that you were using, their sort of templates of that. But I was also wondering, are those public documents that we could kind of see, just see a scan of or something like that? Or is that
one
fair game?
The one that I have been told, at least, I guess theoretically they're all public documents, but so I do have some from that. They had fewer and smaller documents than we're creating right here. It was much more informal, just in some regard. And, they came up with like a scoring kind of after they received the applications, because they were struggling with choosing one. So created a scoring to help them. But they also had more expertise within their group, within their approving group, to figure out which one was good. Anyway, so their process was a little different. But what is very much public is that farm plan that was submitted, that was selected. Scioto didn't put out a farm plan template like we're planning on doing here. That's public. I did have a look at their the scoring that they did have for, I think, their three finalists. yes, you can definitely see the farm plan. I'll have to ask about the rest of the things.
Right. And I think it would be useful, but maybe it wouldn't be. I don't know. I'm sure you guys probably looked at them and kind of saw what they were dealing with, or maybe not. I don't know. But just curious. All
I
right.
can
Thank you.
say with a fair level of confidence that the city's the Greenbelt's Buy Protect Sell program across the board is being extremely careful, developing a really robust and transparent system. This is probably above and beyond what SIO's process was, but on the other hand, we're doing all of this in anticipation of great interest. SIO's parcel that they did was 100 acres. That is a marketable piece to one group of potential buyers, whereas a 25-acre piece or a 30-acre piece and that lower value is marketable to a different or different and same buyers at the same time. So I would expect increased volume of proposals in our process for this particular RFP and future ones, given the type of buy, protect, sell parcels that we are leaning toward picking up, given the feedback we've got from the community about what those land insecure farmers are looking for in terms of parcel size, may be different than the 100-acre pieces. So with that, I would say we've probably covered more bases than SIO, and that's not to, diminish the work that they did at all, but just saying I'm confident that we've been extremely thorough.
Yes, thank you. Thanks, Remy. That's an excellent point. SIO is still the breakthrough in this program, in this buy, protect, sell method in this area. And they thought about a lot about what they wanted there. But yeah, they might have received like 5, maybe they got 6 applications for REN, proposals for RENs. They got a lot of interest in the open house, but in the end, I know they were at least seriously considering about 5. So they had much fewer to deal with. And in my head this whole time, I'm thinking we're going to get like 30 applications, which should be a headache to evaluate without a laid out process of doing so.
High quality problem, Rosie.
Yeah. And then turns out maybe we just get like 2, who knows,
and that really is the big difference. But no one is going to say we didn't prepare. That's for
Thank
sure.
you.
Yeah, thank you.
That's great. Thank you.
Thanks, Dee.
Before getting a general nodding of heads, there's one more slide I'd like to go over, which is some procedural information about how this is going to be done, I guess. So some of it's kind of obvious, some of it maybe not. So we will release the RFP. This is how this is going to go at the end of the month. We're probably going to host it on My Farm Link instead of, for instance, on our website. My Farm Link is the place to go. We will be able to share that link wherever we'd like. We will maybe Remy and I will maybe receive questions from applicants about the things we discussed, making sure, just asking questions about the application. I mentioned earlier, we're going to have 2 deadlines. So, there's one deadline that will be in there, submit by this time. If you don't submit by this time, that's it. But there will be a period after that where we will review those applications for completeness, making sure they hit everything that we required. And if they didn't, or if something seems very vague, there will be this time where we will ask for additional information to fill in those gaps, and they will have X amount of time. I think I was thinking 2 weeks, pretty short, to submit what we requested. And then that will be, after the end of those 2 weeks, that will be the final deadline. They will have 2 weeks to fill in that information. That structure is based off of a process I'm very grateful for that the Michigan DNR does with their grant system. It's very forgiving and I love it. So I'm duplicating it. Yeah. So, and that's in September or the end of August-ish. And then this will be new from what I told you before. So let me know what you think about this. Thinking about the scenario of receiving 30 applications, you know, we've been sort of talking about this so far as GAC is going to decide, GAC is going to score all of these proposals, and then we'll like take an average, and y'all, it is not y'all's job to read 30 proposals and to score all of those. So that's not what's going to happen. Staff is going to do a preliminary review of all of the proposals, checking for eligibility again, weeding out anyone that's not eligible. We'll read all the proposals. We'll do a preliminary sort of scoring, but we'll still need your expertise probably to fill in the gaps that we don't have. So as we're doing that, and as we're reading them and doing some evaluation, and we have some questions, sort of clarifying questions. I'm struggling to come up with an example, but you know, especially things about farm plans, like, do you think this is going to work? Or what do you think about the suitability of this plan for the size of this site or something? Or do you think they really managed this farm? Because maybe they're lying. I don't know. Anything that we think you might have expertise on that we're lost on, we'll come to you and at a meeting maybe, and ask those questions for clarification, and then finish the scoring. So because you've all, I hope that's not taking too much power away from you guys. I think we've gotten such great input from you on this back end. We had this intense engagement together and built up these documents and these scoring things together that hopefully it will, you know, our selections, our staff's top selections will reflect what you were hoping for without having to give you all so much more homework. So
it feels like a smart use of the commission.
Yeah.
Yes. And honestly, items 6 and 7 and 8 really do just follow GAC's normal standard operating procedures. Staff works with landowners in our traditional acquisition model to ensure that they meet the eligibility requirements, that they actually own the farm that they're submitting an application for. We check deeds, we ensure a complete application. We talk with them on the phone and discuss what it is their intentions and goals are. We score the property, and then we bring it to you and we discuss that application in closed session, and we ask you the relevant questions that we feel you need to weigh in on. So I think as this process has evolved, we've realized, you know, the potential volume or the potential process and its efficiency overall, regardless of applicant volume, can definitely mirror the pre-existing standards that we have for reviewing and scoring Greenbelt applications.
Yeah, and then critically, you will, like our regular sort of process, you will recommend one proposal to City Council. So the final one will be our choice. There was a moment where we were like, should City Council choose? But that's not how GAC works. So we recommend one to them.
Thanks, Rosie. I was just going to say that when we're done with this agenda item, we'll be talking about next agenda items, which makes me, so which meeting do you think we'd be targeting for having a final 1 or 2 proposals for GAC to look at. Where does that fall on that timeline?
Yeah, I'm hoping we don't have to have a meeting next month. This, in my mind, is September for that particular action.
Okay. So maybe we can just make a note of maybe not the next agenda, but the next one. So, okay, September likely.
Just something I forgot in this configuration agreement. This will talk about the conservation easement, but it'll also talk about the other thing we discussed about what will happen to the land when they go to sell it, which was about the city will have an option to purchase the land. So something referring to that will be in here as well. So they'll be aware of that. Just little details. Now I will take general approval of this package.
Is this something that we need to actually make a motion for? No, just general nodding of heads.
Yeah.
Okay. Can folks just do a thumbs up if they support Rosie moving forward in this general direction to finish the documents? And if not, then a thumbs down, and we can talk about what we need to see before we're comfortable with doing that.
Truly welcoming thumbs down if there are any. We want to make this good.
Yeah. Yeah. Does anyone have any concerns or reservations about anything that's been presented? Okay. All right. Seems like you have our full support.
Thanks. And feel free, again, to email, call if you want to discuss more on an individual one-on-one level. Yeah. And this is basically what I said about next steps here.
It's exciting. It's a lot of work.
Yeah,
okay.
Thanks so much for y'all's help. I'm so glad we had like a whole team on this,
Absolutely. Okay, well then let's move on. So next agenda items is our next item on today's agenda. So sounds like we may not need to meet in July, unless folks come up with business that would require it, but just thinking about that time frame, if there's anything July, August.
Right. The July meeting would be the 6th, unless we moved it. Okay. Yeah, the 6th.
I think based on the nodding of heads, we're going to continue to build out the full RFP content, and we'll do our best to share it with you in advance. And as long as there's no staggering feedback that would warrant, calling the July 6th meeting to have a more robust discussion before issuing the RFP, save that. We can say we're not going to be meeting in July, but we'll do our best to get you that content sooner than later so that you can weigh in, and we'll know sooner than later whether or not a July meeting is needed.
Terrific. Okay. Then next on our agenda is the closed session to discuss land acquisition. So I believe that we need a motion to leave this meeting and go into closed session. So could I have can someone make that motion, please? That's Commissioner Boggs. And is there a support?
Support.
Okay, Commissioner Bloomer. Great. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right. Sorry, Dee.
Yeah, aye.
Okay. Terrific. The motion passes. So we are going to leave the open session and find the link to closed session and meet you there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
we're back from closed session. Are there any motions from closed session?
I'd like to make a motion, please.
All right, go ahead, Commissioner
All
Armstrong.
right.
Can you read it?
Yes. I'd like to make a motion to recommend city participation with Legacy Land Conservancy in the acquisition of a conservation easement on the property identified in application ID 2022-09 and approval of the contribution of funds not to exceed $75,000 from the Open Space and Parkland Preservation Millage for the Singh property in Webster Township. Again, application ID 2022-09.
Thank you. Is there support?
Support.
Commissioner Gordon, I saw his hand up. Okay. Thank you. Is there discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you. So our next item on the agenda is public commentary. And we will now hold public comment. Before I go into the rules and regulations of this, I should ask maybe, is anyone waiting to speak to the commission? Okay.
Nope.
No, no one is waiting. All right. And then reports from commission members. Do we have any reports? None that I know of. So then we are to adjournment. Can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting today?
I move to adjourn.
Thank you, Commissioner Bloomer. And is there support? I'll support. Great. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. That feels funny to say on an adjournment. So thank you, everybody. Rosie, great work. Thank you. Thanks, Remy, as always, and to our CTN and City of Ann Arbor support staff. Thanks a lot.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you
Take
all.
care. Bye-bye.
All right.
Thanks,
Bye,
everyone.
guys.
Bye.